Our next topic is quality of information. This is not a very difficult topic, pretty straightforward. So I'll try my best to go over it very quickly. So what is quality of information? It is very important that whatever information that you are gathering, that you wish to use for a certain purpose or research, is accurate, authentic, uh, has integrity in first place. If in first place the data or the information that we are gathering has inaccuracies, is not relevant, all right, is excessive to what I need, is less than what my requirement um, is outdated, don't you think that would impact my research? It would. So basically, there are about 5 to 6 factors that you must have in mind when you collect information. There are about 4 to 5 factors, I think, or 5 to 6 factors that you must keep in your mind, that you must sort of check your data against to ensure that the data has a certain kind of integrity going. Because you would like to start your research based on that data, on correct findings, data that has integrity. If it does not, then this means that the data is not qualitative. दो टर्म्स होती है ना, जैसे आपने टर्म सुनी होंगी, क्वांटिटेटिव एंड क्वालिटेटिव. क्वांटिटेटिव का मतलब होता है क्वांटिटी रिलेट्स टू द अमाउंट, ओके, एंड क्वालिटी रिलेट्स टू yeah, how reliable or not so reliable the information is. So checking the reliability is very important. Accuracy is being one of them. The data has to be accurate in first place for it to be of some quality, or for it to be used uh, in the right way for the purpose or for my research. So if you look at the example which is given here, it says information that is inaccurate is clearly not good enough. Data must be accurate in order to be considered of good quality. Imagine being told that you need to check in at the airport 45 minutes before the flight leaves. So you turn up at 18:10 for a 19:00 flight, only to find out you were actually supposed to check in 1 hour before the flight leaves. It's a case of giving inaccurate information that resulted in you being misguided and not being able to utilize that information correctly. So this is inaccurate. Inaccurate information provided will result in it being processed inaccurately. You put a decimal point wrong in one of the data items. If you look at this, 90.30 instead of 903.00. कितना फर्क है दोनों फिगर्स में? एक पॉइंट सिर्फ अगर आप मूव कर दें, how much that affects the accuracy of data. All right. Misspelling such as stare instead of stare. Can you read it, all of you? Yeah. So same way of pronouncing, but two different words with two different meanings. So inaccuracy. Misspelled characters such as license plate of BW9EP3T instead of BW93PET. Inaccurate. Number of letters उतने ही हैं, letters वही हैं, सिर्फ the place has been swapped around, or the position has been changed. So even if the position of only 2 letters or 2 characters has been swapped around, it becomes totally a different license plate number. Yeah. Relevance. What is meant by something being relevant? Yeah. Accuracy तो हमने देख ली. All right. It is for the purpose that you need it for. It relates to the topic that you are collecting that information for. So basically, in simple words, data being relevant means it is fit for the purpose, or in some way it relates to your research or your analysis. All right. So Um, Examples could be being given a bus timetable when you want to catch a train. Say, for instance, you want to catch a train, you will only be interested in knowing the timings that trains are leaving at arriving and arriving. Okay? You do not need any bus timetables for that. आपको ट्रेन की रिक्वायरमेंट है तो अगर आपको साथ बस के टाइम टेबल्स भी दे दिए जाएं तो that's not presenting information in a relevant way. Being told the rental price of a car when you want to buy the car. Well, I want to buy a car. I should better know what is the price of the car. I'm not interested in knowing what price it is being rented at. All right. So, irrelevance. A user guide for a mobile phone that includes instructions on how to assemble a plug. Are we ever required to assemble a plug when we buy a mobile phone? No, it's there. We don't need instructions on that because it is not something which is required. Age. Age is how old or not so old the information is, or how up to date the information is. And we have seen this very clearly in our discussion on both direct and indirect data sources, that how the age of information may impact decision making or your research. If the information is up to date, it will be relevant, and it will result in correct decision making. If it is old, then I'm not sure if the time at which it was collected and whatever that information is it still relevant? Is it still usable today or not? Or have things changed? Remember that same example of price of trainers. If trainers were bought at an earlier date where they were discounted, or maybe the price was not as high, and if the price is more now and there's no discount on offer, then that is the more up to date information that I needed. So age definitely affects the quality of information. Examples could be the ones that are given here. The number of residents in a town based on a census from 2011, but 500 new homes have been built in the town since then. From a 2011 census, okay, uh, there was a certain count of number of houses, or maybe the residents. But if from that point onwards 500 new houses have been built and people are living in them, and I'm using the census data from 2011 regarding the number of people living in a certain town, then my information is outdated, because more people would have, or more population would have been added in the town in the years from 2011 to whatever the current year is. A rugby score that has not been updated for 5 minutes, during which time a player scored. Make sense? Are you sure? Okay. I mean, do I need to explain this? Okay. Level of detail. Level of detail is about uh, whatever information that I am collecting and I want to use must be enough for it to be usable. If it is less than what I need, it would not serve the purpose, or it would be insufficient for my research or for my analysis or for my use. Yeah. But at the same time, if it is more than what I need, it would still be problematic. The reason is that if it is less, तो तब तो problem है ही, because I do not have enough information to work with. But if it is more than what I need, it is a problem, because I will then have to filter through, or filter it to only take out that information which is relevant for me, and take out all the unnecessary details from it. So that would also take time, and it would take effort and energy. Hence, the level of detail of information should be just as much as is needed, not more than what is required, not less than what is required. All right? Completeness. The information should be complete for the purpose. Uh, it should not be incomplete, because if it is incomplete, it would affect my decision making or my research or analysis. Can somebody tell me the difference between level of detail and completeness? Difficult to figure out, or can you figure it out? आपके ख्याल में लेवल ऑफ डिटेल और कंप्लीटनेस में क्या डिफरेंस है? ओके, यस. ओके, या, it is making some sense, but I would like it to make better sense than that. It was a good try. Anyone else who thinks that you can come up with a better explanation? Well, that's an interesting way of putting it. Do you know? Did you hear what he said? Level of detail depicts quality, and completeness depicts quantity. Isn't it opposite? Okay. Yeah. Okay. ठीक है, ये that could be another way of putting it. Yeah. One last. All right. ठीक है. Okay, fine. I think all of you have tried in your own way, in your own capacity. You've tried to establish a difference, which was, I think it did make sense. But let's make it a little more specific. देखिए, when it comes to level of detail, it pertains to uh, having the right amount of information that is needed for my analysis or my research, not less, not more. If it is excessive, then again, as I said, it would be a problem because I'll have to filter through it. When it comes to completeness, completeness is a factor that generally highlights what minimum is needed for the task to be done. If it is less than that, or if there is anything missing, let's put it in this way: if there is something important missing, not less but something missing, then it would not allow me to use that information for the purpose that I want to use it for. Level of detail, amount, ज़्यादा ना हो, कम ना हो, प्रॉपर हो जितनी चाहिए. कंप्लीटनेस, मिनिमम कितनी चाहिए आपको, मिनिमम क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है फॉर द डेटा टू बी एटलीस्ट प्रोसेस्ड. But because if it is less than that, or if there are important points missing from in between, I would not be able to process that information. And when I say I would not be able to process that information, of course I mean that it will not be useful or usable for me for the purpose that I'm collecting it for, or for the purpose that I want to use it for. Let's have a look at a few examples. यहाँ पे देखते हैं. It says, for example, a person has booked their car in for a service over the phone. The mechanic at the garage tells them the name of the street but doesn't give the building number. This is incomplete information. I know the street I have to go to, okay, wherever I want to take my car for to a mechanic, but I do not know the building number where, in that street where I actually should go, but there are a number of buildings in that street. I do not know the building number. The information is incomplete for me to use it fully for my purpose. Is there any other example of this? Let me see. No, there's just one example. Can you people think of any other example of completeness other than this? Yes.
So one example can be that if I conducted research of how many students in there from the class, the level of completeness would be if I just do it in my class. But if I want to go in depth, I can go to different classes as well.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? वैसे मुझे सही तरह समझ नहीं आई, to be honest. Uh, okay, challenge. But anyway, you gave it a try. That's all that matters. I hope you guys do know that uh, responding in the class is more important than thinking about whether you're right or wrong. You see, don't worry about, don't just hesitate from answering in class, इस डर से कि ओके कहीं मेरा जवाब गलत ना हो जाए. आप बोलेंगे, कभी गलत बोलेंगे, कभी सही बोलेंगे. तो गलत बोलने का मतलब ये नहीं कि आप बोलें ना. यू मस्ट. यस.
For example, अगर आप एक second hand आप फोन ले रहे हो, आप उससे पूछते हो कि इसकी details बताओ, और वो आपको कहते हैं कि इसकी 128 GB storage है और इसकी 8 GB RAM है और 120 Hz screen है, लेकिन आपको वो ये नहीं बताता कि इसकी screen actually 50 है.
ओके.
That's incomplete.
ठीक है. ऑल राइट. या. Okay, let's please listen to the example being given. Boys at the back, let's please listen. You can say that. You can say that. Acha, I also have an example in mind. Uh, we all know how IDs and passwords work. Yeah? Now, what if you are registering for a new account somewhere? You're creating a new account for which you need to set up an ID and a password. Now, we do know that usually passwords have a certain number of characters. Yeah? Say, for instance, it is usually 8 characters that a password should be, right? If you set up a password which is less than eight, no, in terms of its format and everything, it might be correct. Okay, but what if it is not the right number of characters that are required? So if a valid password requires 8 characters to be set, then it has to be 8 characters. It cannot be even 1 character less. अगर आप 7 या 6 कैरेक्टर्स का पासवर्ड सेट करने लगेंगे, you will not be allowed to do that because that would be treated as incomplete information or data that you're providing. If it says 8 characters, it has to be 8 characters. Yeah. So this could also be one example of incomplete data. All right. So anyway, quickly summing it up, whatever we discussed right now, if we look at all these factors, we can easily see that how well all these factors are contributing towards the quality of information. So, whatever information you gather, if you sort of check that information uh, based on all these factors, आप इन सब factors को one by one satisfy करें, okay, then what would that mean? That it would definitely ensure that if information has been taken through all those factors of checking, where you have checked for accuracy, the relevance, everything that we have spoken about, then in the end we would be at least sure that this information is the right quality for me to use it and to rely upon for whatever research that I want to use it for. Yeah. Is this clear? Any question further up? Okay, great.